This is Nithin Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 824, joined by a really special guest. His name is Matt Johnson. He's a former NFL safety from the Dallas Cowboys, and he also played for Eastern Washington College. And now he's the head coach of Southridge High School. We're going to get to all of that. But first of all, I just want to say thank you, Matt, for joining the show. Truly an honor. And how are you and your family doing today?
Well, first off, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. And everything is good, man. Everything's good. Summer's out now. So I'm a teacher. So we had the last day of school on Wednesday. So it's summer now. We start summer lifting for our football team. So everything's going good.
Yeah, so obviously we're going to get to your coaching, but I just want to say congrats out of the bat here. What's it feeling like just to be a coach now?
It's great. I've been an assistant high school coach for 4 years now. So and then be able to step in that head coaching role. I'm excited. It's my wife's alma mater. It's where she went to high school. So it's a pretty cool story. And I love this town, love the area. We got a lot of good coaches on staff. So it's exciting. It's a lot of work being the head coach. You definitely have a lot more hats to fill, but it's fun. And I'm excited to help these kids out.
Yeah. First, we'll get to more of that. I want to get to your career first. And you have an interesting career. And for you, while growing up as a child, when did you get interested in playing sports? And before choosing football, did you play any other sports growing up?
From as long as I can remember, sports were in my life. I have an identical twin brother, so we always used to compete with each other. And I mean, home videos of us playing actually baseball was our first sport that we played and first sport that we kind of fell in love with, and then started playing football in third grade. And from that point on, that was our love. So, and then we played basketball as well growing up. So kind of all three. But yeah, baseball was probably the first sport we ever really played, but football was our true love from the moment we played it. So
while growing up, did you have any like role models in the NFL that you looked up to? Any players?
It's funny. My first jersey was a Emmitt Smith jersey because I grew up a Cowboys fan. So my dad was a huge Cowboys fan, and I remember Cowboy stuff all around our house. And so I wore 22 in Pee-wees for football, and Emmitt Smith was my role model. I had the Emmitt Smith jersey. So yeah, it's pretty funny that and being drafted to the Cowboys was awesome. So yeah, Emmitt Smith was my role model growing up from as long as I can remember.
Oh wow, yeah. So so when you were in high school, obviously coaches now these days like to put players in multiple positions and use different packages. But when you were a player, did you get to play multiple positions in high school?
Yeah, we ran like a wing tee offense. So it was kind of like a double wing type running system. So me and my brother played both those spots, and you just get to do a lot out of that position, a lot of blocking, carrying, and then you're probably the leading receiver on the team as well. And then I played safety from the beginning. Actually growing up, played linebacker and like Pee-wees and stuff. But once I got to high school, played that free safety spot from the beginning. So defensively, I was always kind of a safety once I got to high school. But on offensive side in high school, it's cool to play. It's technically one position, but you get to do a lot of stuff behind it. So.
Yeah. So in high school, what were the main things that you learned from your coaching staff before heading to college?
I went to Tumwater High School, it's kind of known as like a winning program here in Washington. And Coach Otten, who was my coach, is still the winningest coach in Washington history. And they taught you a lot about, not just football, about growing up, becoming the man that you need to be and become a great person in society. And so that's the biggest stuff that I took from that high school was, how to work hard, how to be a great teammate, how to be great in the classroom and society. So, and obviously great football lessons, but I think that's the biggest stuff that I took from high school. And then when I get to college, it was more technical stuff, especially on the defensive side.
So for you, how many offers did you get coming out of high school? And obviously, what made you choose Eastern Washington? And what was it like being close to home?
So being a twin, we were kind of dealt as like a package deal. And I remember going through the recruiting process, we would tell colleges that were not a package deal just to kind of give us a better chance at getting scholarships. But looking back at it, we definitely were. We were going to go to the same school no matter what. So we had a couple offers from Eastern and from Portland State. And then, like Washington State and Oregon State were kind of like, hey, we're going to offer one of you guys. The other one can walk on. So that was kind of like, we kind of got packaged like that. And then when we went on our official visit to Eastern, we fell in love with it right away. It was a small town, a really good family feel. Players felt like they were all family with each other. And then, it's only 5 hours away from where we lived. So pretty special. And it was cool. The coaching staff was amazing there, made us feel right at home. So
Yeah, I just have to ask you this: did they get you confused between you and your brother sometimes?
definitely, yeah. And I was actually kind of hurt a little bit my senior year. I missed a couple games. But yeah, it happened throughout our whole career. So I mean, even in college when I was getting recruited or when I was getting looked at to play in the NFL, some people were looking at my brother on film because we wore similar jersey numbers and obviously we looked the same. So yeah, that happened all the time.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
So what was your experience at Eastern Washington like? What was the atmosphere like playing in front of those fans?
It was great. We went there when, before it was the red turf. And so that's kind of what Eastern's known for now is having that red turf. In my junior years when we got that red turf. And that's actually when we won the national championship and kind of put Eastern on the map. And, it was amazing. It was such a cool experience. Great teammates that are, friends for life and family for life and great coaching staff. And we kind of went into it with a chip on our shoulder. It was kind of cool that a lot of those guys that got recruited to Eastern, got overlooked by Washington State or UW. And we kind of went into that saying, you know what, we're as good as those guys and you guys messed up not taking us. So now we're going to take it on everybody else. And that was a cool thing to be a part of. Cool. Some of the best memories were those summer workouts where everybody's out of town. It's just the athletes. It's just the football guys, grinding, getting ready for the season. And then it paying off during the season. It was cool, really, really cool thing to be a part of and proud to be in EAG. And I always want to support them and proud of what they're doing now.
So what was it feeling like just to get to play with your brother and making your parents proud and your parents don't have to travel far. They can both. I mean, they can see you both play on the same team.
It was crazy. And looking back on it now, we talk and see how fortunate it was and how lucky it really was because that doesn't, not many people get to do that. And when you're in the middle of it, you kind of just, going day by day, you don't really get to see how pretty special that is. But even just some of the pictures we have of, he played linebacker, I played safety. So we're kind of stacked with each other and I'm right behind him in pictures and some of the film we have. And it's just cool. It's amazing experience that we'll always have. And, I know my parents were very, very fortunate to be able to watch us play and watch us compete and win a national championship together was something that we'll never forget. So.
Yeah, so I want to get to your draft experience because this is my favorite time of year. I love to dig in and watch tape and college players, and that's what I do, and I love to do. And I love watching players from the people who don't know about colleges that are unknown. And I'm not saying Eastern Washington is unknown. I'm just saying I like to see players from different colleges, and your name kept popping up on my thing. So I went before you got drafted. I was watching like different safeties that were in your draft class. Your name kept popping up. I love your tape, and I told myself, please, the Cowboys, take a chance on Matt Johnson, please, because your tape just kept popping on my screen, and I watched it. And it was you were a great player at Eastern Washington, and so take me through your draft experience, waiting for your name to be called, being with your family, and once you got the name call from the Dallas Cowboys, the America's team, most historic franchise in the NFL, and from a call from Jerry Jones, and man, what was that like?
Yeah, so the draft experience was pretty crazy. My senior year, I got hurt kind of halfway through, had to get shoulder surgery, and kind of decided just to get surgery because I was trying to play through it, and just wasn't really working. So got shoulder surgery, so I wasn't really healthy enough to go to the combine, but I was able to perform for my pro day and did pretty well there. And after my pro day, I got a lot of interest from teams, and we're doing a ton of workouts almost daily for the last like 3 weeks up until the draft. I went and visited Dallas. I went and visited Philly and Chicago, and had a bunch of teams come out to the school to work me out. So that was a crazy experience. And then, on draft day, being from a small school, especially back then, Eastern wasn't as known as it is now, because now you got Cooper Kupp and Kendrick and Sampson and those guys making a big name for Eastern. But even back then, it was Michael Ruse and Tywan Jones. So those were the guys kind of before me. So yeah, it was a small school. Not many people knew about us. And so I went into the draft thinking, late rounds, maybe not even drafted, just because, you never know. Like, the draft is crazy. You guys just have one team that like you and see what happens. And so, we're in a hotel in Cheney because my brother got one more year to play football. So it was actually the spring game. So we were all in town for the draft, all in town to watch the spring game. And so it's just Saturday morning, 4th round. We're all really not super paying attention because I didn't think I was going to go in the 4th round. And I got that call and it said Dallas on my phone. And, I think like my mom was asleep and my dad was out. I think my dad was out working on my truck actually, to be honest with you. So I got the call and it was Jerry Jones. And, I made sure I was like, hey, Mr. Jones. So people like in the room knew that, hey, I'm talking to Jerry Jones. Like, you guys need to wake up. So, but it was amazing. I was on the phone for like an hour doing interviews and stuff before I could even like go celebrate. I had a bunch of buddies kind of running through the hotel, like hotel floor, kind of celebrating and stuff. It was just great to be around those guys that, I put in time and effort with, and to be able to celebrate that. And then go and watch the Eastern spring game wearing all my Cowboy stuff. It was pretty cool. And then, that stuff goes fast. And then you fly down to Dallas like the next day or the day after and go through that rookie mini camp. And it was a whirlwind for sure. And, just being drafted to the Cowboys was such a crazy, and I think, I joke that my dad, I think, was more excited than I was just because he's such a big Cowboys fan. But no, I mean, it was a dream come true, and it literally felt like a dream. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. Were you in contact with any other teams, or was the Cowboys the only team that were interested in you?
So I went to Chicago too for like a pre-draft visit in Philly. So Chicago and the Eagles. And I worked out with Chicago twice and actually got a second workout with them like 2 days before the draft. So like, I thought that's where I was going to go. If I was going to get drafted by somebody, that's where I thought I was going to go. I know Patriots came and worked me out. Texans came and worked me out. So there's a lot of Packers came and worked me out. I had a lot of interest after my pro day, but I thought it was obviously those three teams that I visited. Those were kind of the three that I thought I would go to. And I thought it was going to be Chicago just for the fact that I visited them. I did 2 workouts with them, had a good dinner with them like 2 nights before the draft. So yeah, but I obviously was super happy it was the Cowboys. So.
Yeah, I actually I had a comp for you, and I don't know if you agree with this. I had you when you were in college, you remind me of like Eric Weddle, the way he played the game, and I don't know. Do you agree with that, Eric Weddle as a comp?
Hey, I'll take that all day, man, for sure. He's such a good player. I think I was a little bit bigger than him, and I agree, like being able to do multiple things, and I'll take that comparison all day, man. So yeah, you can say that all you want.
So now going into the rookie mini camp with Dallas, and obviously you got to work hard to make the team, and you made the team, obviously. And what was it like? I had Barry Church on my show. I think I sent you that, and he was awesome to talk to. And what was it like being in the same locker room as Barry Church, DeMarcus Ware, Brandon Carr, DeMarco Murray, Tony Romo? You had so much talent on that team.
It was such a cool experience, and I try to tell everybody, like, and that's why I'll be a lifelong Cowboys fan, and that's why I was hoping, those core guys were going to get a championship, because they deserved it, man. They were such good teammates, and I didn't know what to expect going into an NFL locker room where, you don't have to be family as it is like in college. You go to practice and then you go home. Like in college, you leave practice and you're all hanging out with each other. So, but they were just all so welcoming, and, especially me, a guy who was a 4th round pick, and I was hurt, obviously that's not a secret. I was hurt the whole time in Dallas. And so people didn't really have to, give me love and help me out, but they all did. Like everybody was welcoming. I didn't have any issues with anybody. Barry was such a good teammate for me. Him and me really got pretty close that second year when we were playing a lot together. But all those guys, Romo and Witt and D-Ware, and I worked out with DeMarco Murray a lot in the off season, and those guys were just such amazing people for me. And I'll always be grateful for that, because they didn't have to be, they didn't have to be welcoming to a guy who literally did nothing to help them win. I tried as much as I could, but I was always hurt. So I did nothing for them in their career, but they did everything for me. And I really appreciate it. So.
Yeah. So obviously those injuries, so if you didn't have those injuries, would you have been still playing by now in the league?
I think so. I like to think so. Yeah. I still, like to joke around with my kids that I coach, and, mess around and do a few drills with them. Obviously I'm out of shape and not ready to play, but yeah, I feel like obviously if I was healthy, I would love just to keep playing, and you never know what happens. This would be going on my 9th year. So yeah, it's a long time to play, but if I was healthy, I wanted to play as long as I could. So
yeah. So I know your career didn't you didn't have a long career, but what was it just like experiencing working hard every day and getting to your goal and getting drafted, and how grateful are you to be in this position and to have Jerry Jones in the front office, even Will McClay to give you a chance on you, and then being part of this talented team, and learning from great players and great coaches.
It's such a cool, like, and I'll be honest with you, like it took me a couple years when I got done playing to actually look back and be proud of it, just because, I was disappointed that I wasn't able to help and wasn't able to prove them right for drafting me. And, you hear a bunch of stuff like on social media, and fans don't understand how much like time and effort I put into it. And it's not like I was like going home and, not working out and I was trying to be the first one there every day. I didn't leave in the off season. I stayed there to try to train and stay healthy. So, I kind of look back on it and I wish I would have enjoyed it more during it, just because it was such a cool experience and such an amazing thing. Not many people get to do it, but it's hard because you're trying to stay healthy and it's a stressful thing. It is. But yeah, they kept me around for a long time and didn't have to. And I think part of it was because I did show that I was committed, and, it's not like I was taking it for granted. It just was, kind of bad luck. But yeah, the fact that they took a chance on me first, and the fact that they kept me around, and in the front office, all those people are amazing people. They do care about you. And I've heard, around the league, it's not always like that with other teams, but I know with Dallas, they definitely take care of their players. And so that was cool. It did take me a couple years to like look back on it and be able to talk like I talk about it now. I was almost like ashamed of not being able to perform the way I wanted to, but I did everything I could. So it worked out the way it did. And I know I was grateful that they kept me around as long as they did.
Yeah. So I know you played underneath Coach Garrett, and obviously he's not there anymore, but what was it like playing underneath him? And obviously he always starts off his press conference saying, "How you doing, guys?" So how many times did he say that to you guys during practices?
Every single meeting. That's how he started with it. But every single meeting. But Coach Garrett was awesome, man. He was so organized. He always had us being able to do the right stuff. And I love working under Coach Garrett. He was and again, he's another guy that, really cared about you as a person. Obviously cared about you as a football player, but cared about you as a person, asked how you were doing outside of football. And from what I've heard, that's not always how it is in the NFL. And so, yeah, he was grateful. And the last, one of the last meetings I had was with him when I was released, injury settlement release. And, it was a really great conversation, and he kind of understood that, I did everything I could to try to help. And he even goes, "Man, I feel bad for you. And I wish you had a chance." And so, I have nothing but admiration and respect for all those guys that I dealt with. Like, that's why, it's such a cool, like, I love repping Cowboys, even that I've always been a Cowboys fan, but I want to rep it even more just because how amazing they all were towards me. But yeah, he opened every meeting with that. So yeah.
Yeah. So before we get to your high school coaching career, and obviously transitioning from player to coach, did the Cowboys reach out to you saying, was there any potential spots for you opening as a coach and to be with the Cowboys as a coach, or any other spots before taking high school?
So actually, when I that conversation with Coach Garrett, because I didn't know if I was going to still try to play after getting injury released. And so I didn't know if I was going to try to play or not, if I was going to get into coaching. They all knew that I was interested in coaching, because that's the kind of role I took when I was injured. I went in there and took, all the notes and try to like change my mindset as to a coach so I can help out anybody I could and make myself better as a player. So they kind of mentioned, if you ever want to come back and kind of get into scouting or kind of get into helping coach. But at that time, I still thought I was going to try to play and still try to, finish and keep my career going as a player. So, but no, nothing as a legitimate. And I kind of looked into it a couple of years ago. That's such a big time commitment. And I love having time outside of football with my wife, and, I like being able to hunt and fish and golf. And, but yeah, that's something that I thought about for sure, but no, I didn't hear anything from them. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously you started off as assistant coach, and obviously what were the main things that you learned as assistant coach from the X and O's of the game, and would you say being an assistant coach helped you to get to this point right now?
Oh, definitely, and especially going from the NFL level to the high school level is a lot. You try to make it as simple as possible for the kids, and I think that's one thing that I had to learn quite a bit was. It might make sense to me because I've been doing it for 15 years and I did it at the highest level, but how am I going to make it simple for these high school kids to play as fast as they can and give them the best chance to be successful? And that took me a couple of years to realize how to break these drills down, how to slow down how I'm describing things, and how to make it as simple as we can. So, and I think that's the thing, being assistant for a couple of years really helped me step into this role and understand that I got to get better at explaining things to make sure everybody understands, because everybody learns differently. Everybody is going to learn something way different than the next. And I think that's part of being a teacher too. So I've been a teacher for a couple of years, and teaching and coaching, it's the exact same thing. So I've got a lot of practice at that the last couple of years, and excited for this challenge.
So obviously all of us last year went through the struggle with the pandemic, and what have you guys learned as a coach or a teacher? And you had to utilize everything when the sport shut down. We all of us didn't know what was going to happen, but what did you guys learn as a team, and then utilizing a lot of Zoom meetings, I'm sure.
Exactly. It's actually like, I'm not going to say it's been a blessing, because it definitely hasn't been, but it's been eye-opening to understand how to communicate, especially, technology and kids nowadays. They're always on their phone. They're always on the computer. So we have like a Google Classroom for our football team. We have a Remind app. We have websites. We have everything. You can push out, information 3 different ways. So there's no excuse for kids to be like, oh, I didn't know about this practice. Like, no, you did. You had 3 different ways to find it. So, but yeah, it's been great for information too, because at the high school level, you don't get to meet as much as you do at college or in NFL. So this is ways to break up meetings. You can, screen record your film sessions and send it out to kids, and they can watch it when they can, as opposed to, at the NFL, you go practice for 3 hours, then you go right back to the film room for 3 hours. Like we don't get to do that at the high school. So it's been good to be able to see how to get information to the kids.
So now let's get to a new opportunity with Southridge High School. Obviously your wife went there. So how did this opportunity come about? And once you guys got it finalized, how excited were you and your wife? And you guys popped the champagne bottle afterwards?
So I was an assistant there for 2 years. I was a DB coach, just a DB coach my first year. This last year, I was a defense coordinator, and then, got the opportunity this year to kind of step in that role. And we kind of knew about it for the last couple of weeks, and then had to make it official once it got announced. But it was super, super exciting. Yeah, me and my wife have been pretty excited about it. And I actually just I was teaching at an elementary school, and now I'm teaching at the high school next year. So that's really exciting to be all in one spot, to see the kids all the time and help them out. And, we got a new house over here. So everything's kind of coming into place. So it's going to be a good summer.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, how are you going to balance out teaching and coaching at the same time? And obviously coming up with lesson plans, and you have to come up with the practices for football practice. How are you going to balance that out?
It's a lot of organization and planning. And the one thing I've learned the last couple of years is, if you plan ahead and get organized, everything else is pretty easy after that. But if you're playing catch up the whole time, it's going to be a long year, and you're going to be exhausted. So that's what summer's for, planning ahead and getting all the stuff set up. And then, having great assistants around you helps with coaching, and having great people that I'm going to teach with help with teaching. So, but the biggest thing is being able to get organized, get planned ahead, and then everything kind of just falls into place. So, and one thing that I think that's one I like being able to, I hate being, late or, being caught off guard. So as long as we're organized and ready to go, we'll be fine.
Yeah. So what are you most looking forward to this season coming up, coaching these young kids, and making sure they get to their goals? And what are you just most looking forward to? And obviously fans will be back in the stadiums too.
That's going to be a great thing. Having fans back, having the atmosphere, having the culture at the school. These kids, they deserve success, and we haven't had the best success on the field lately, but they put in the work. And so what I want to do is instill confidence in them. And then obviously success on the field is going to help them understand that, these lessons that you learn through football, they carry you through life, and they carry you through everything you do. And, that's going to be helpful if we get more success on the field, because then that's going to get more buy-in from these kids. So, we're going to grind this summer, and we're going to work our butt off and hopefully have a successful season. But, the real success is going to be in 10, 15 years when I see these guys growing to be, husbands and fathers, and see what they do with their lives. So that's the exciting thing. We have a great group of young men that are ready to go, and it makes our job easy.
Yeah. So now we do this fun little segment called the rapid fire segment. You ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. What's a scouting report on your brother as a player?
Ooh, scouting report is my brother player. Super athletic linebacker. Let's see, really good in coverage. Chase plays away from him like none other. I'm trying to think what else. I think he led our team in tackles as a freshman, so tackling machine when he's healthy.
Does he still plays?
No, he tried to play a little bit when he got done, but he had some knee issues, had a couple knee surgeries, so no, he's not playing.
So what's it like now seeing former NFL players getting into the coaching, like Phillip Rivers now coaching a high school team? What's it like seeing that?
It's awesome, man. And obviously those guys have such high knowledge levels and have learned so much throughout the game that they can pass on to people. And, John Kitten is a Washington guy that played it in Dallas, and now he's coaching in Dallas. And so those are guys that it's fun to see. And, we support them all the time.
So what was your most memorable game that you've been a part of in Dallas? Obviously you were injured, but that you've seen.
That I've seen? Ooh, that was a tough one. So we played in Baltimore my first or second year. It was Ray Lewis's last home game before his retirement thing. And that was such a cool atmosphere doing our warm-ups. And then he does his little intro, and no joke, our whole team stopped and watched that intro. And it's still like, it gave us all chills. It was just such a really cool, and it was a great game. Came down to the wire. And I think Dan Bailey kicked a game-winning field goal. So that was the most memorable one. Yeah.
Are you going to be a hard-nosed coach?
Yeah, I'm going to be strict, but it's going to come from a position of love. And I think that's how you got to do. As long as the kids know that you love them, you can be as strict as you need to, but they got to know that you're coming from a position of love.
Who's your favorite safety to watch right now currently?
Ooh, man, there's a lot of them. I love Derwin James when he's healthy. Tyrann Mathieu is so much fun to watch. The game has changed so much from even when I was playing. Buda Baker is really fun to watch. Those guys are smaller guys than me, so that's why I like watching Derwin James, because I feel like that was he's a lot better than I was, but that's kind of the style I played. So those three are probably my top three.
Yeah, so I'm sure you keep a close eye on the Cowboys all season. And what do you like about this year's draft? Obviously, we drafted long, tall safeties this year, and obviously we have Dan Quinn. I think he's trying to build the Seattle defense that he had. Do you think these players that we've drafted, do you think we can turn out to be a Seattle defense this year?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. That's exactly what he's trying to do. And I think we got the pieces in place. Like that Seattle defense was, they weren't super known until Dan Quinn came and made them who they are. And I think we have a chance to do that. We got definitely athletic linebackers, and we got ball hawk corners and smart corners. So I'm excited, man. I can't wait to get the season going. I think he's going to do a great job with them.
What are your thoughts on Deshaun Wright?
I love him. I got to see more film. I can't wait for training camp, because it's been so hard, especially with this. I know this offseason a little bit better than last one, but I think he's got a great shot at it. That's why I can't wait for training camp. Like, I know it's gonna be tough because it's when I'm coaching too, but I'm gonna try to watch as much as I can.
So obviously you just got the head coaching job here, but down the line in the future, when you guys get more settled in, would you consider being a coach in the NFL or college?
Yeah, I've always, me and my wife have always talked about that, and that's always an option and something to think about. It's got to be the right move for us and what's going to be best for our family. But that's always something that, and I've talked about this before. Like, whatever I'm doing, I want to be the best at. There's no reason not to. And so if I can keep getting higher and coaching at the highest level, that's something that would really be something I'm interested in.
Favorite memorable game that you played at Eastern Washington?
It's got to be the national championship, just because it was but also the last two games, the semifinal game and the national championship. We were down 19-0 in the championship game and won 20-19. And then the semifinal game against Nova, that was probably the best game I ever played in my career. And, they returned the opening kick untouched, and then we ended up winning by 10, and I had a pick to end the game. So those are pretty good memories.
Funniest teammate that you played with in Dallas?
Ooh, funniest teammate in Dallas. Ooh. I thought Barry Church was hilarious. Romo, it's got to be Romo, man. Romo was such a funny guy, and I was able to sit by him and Witt in most of the meetings. And some of the stuff that he would kind of say, like under his breath, so not everybody heard, just had me dying. So yeah, Romo. I thought Barry Church was hilarious too, but Romo probably.
What are your thoughts on Dak Prescott? Obviously, he took over for Romo when he got injured, but do you think Prescott can take that next level this year?
Definitely, man. I think he's the perfect Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Like, he's got the players playing as hard as they can for him. Great person off the field. Pressure does not get to him, and you have to be able to not have the pressure get to you in Dallas. And yeah, dude, I can't. I mean, I wouldn't take, as much as it's crazy to say, I would not take any quarterback over him for Dallas. He's perfect for Dallas.
So I saw you on Twitter that you guys got your defensive coordinator. Is your staff finalized or still working through it?
Yeah, we finalized it yesterday or 2 days ago. So just waiting to kind of post some more on that stuff. But it's been a great staff. Most of the staff is teachers in our school, so that's huge for our kids to see them all the time. And it's great for summer because teachers we get summer off technically, so they'll be around the weight room a lot and be able to see the kids.
Have you been watching the NBA playoffs?
I have as much as I can. It's usually highlights. I usually don't get to watch it live, but it's usually highlights. KD's game, couple games ago was insane, man.
Like this Bucks Nets. I tweeted this yesterday. This Bucks Nets series is like a heavyweight boxing match.
It is. When's game 7? Is it
tomorrow? Yeah. They have. I picked Brooklyn to win the championship, and they're. I'm a little concerned right now.
It's gonna be a great one, man. I can't. What time's the game tomorrow?
I think I gotta check the time. I'm if I'm not mistaken, I think it's in the night, sometime in the night. I don't know.
Okay.
Perfect. I gotta check.
I want to watch that.
Yeah, but this I'm really concerned because Durant and Harden has been playing too many minutes, and I don't know how much left they have left in the tank. But tomorrow's game is gonna be. Oh my God, I can't wait.
I know there's a lot of people debating whether to sit those guys this last game just to give them. I know it's tough to do in a 7-game series, but yeah, I agree. It's going to be, that's going to be a heavyweight champ. That's good. That's a good call. Yeah.
Who do you have winning the finals? I mean, who do you have in the NBA finals? I should say.
See, it's so hard to. I had the Nets just because those three you can't really. And I'm a Suns fan just because I love the way Chris Paul plays and I love Devin Booker. If Chris Paul's out because of COVID, that's a huge game changer. Yeah, obviously I wanted the Mavs to keep going. I'm a huge Luka fan. He just needs more help around him. But probably Nets Suns is what I would want. But if the Nets are rolling, man, no one can touch them. But like you said, play a lot of minutes and then Kyrie's out. I feel like that happens so much with these, super teams is they get one or two guys out and then someone else has got to step up like KD, but then it wears on them. So.
Yeah. And Dallas Mavericks is going through a lot of changes now this offseason already. Rick Carlisle gone. Dirk Nowitzki's back. He's going to be helping in the front office now.
That'll be good.
Yeah. But before we get to the last two things, so obviously you give advice to coaches, your kids right now, but what advice would you give to other athletes and other young kids that are trying to get to their goals?
Just never stop, man, and always understand that there's going to be one person that's working harder than you. And that's one thing that I think my parents told me at a young age is there's always someone out there working harder than you. And then as a young kid, you're kind of like, you think about that, before you go to sleep. Like, there's one person doing these push-ups right now instead of me. And always, one of my biggest thing was, I love proving people wrong. So if you ever get, advice or you've ever heard, you don't make a team or, you don't get recruited by so-and-so, like now you got a chance to prove someone wrong. And that's a huge driving force. And it's been a huge driving force in my life. And, it's something I'm going to try to instill in these kids is, right now in our league, we're looked upon as like, an easy win, and so let's go prove everybody wrong, man. That should drive you with everything you do. So, just never stop and understand that there's someone always outworking you. So never stop.
Yeah, no, well said there. What's it like now? What's it like sharing your stories on these platforms? And I saw your interview with our friend Lit Media Productions on Instagram Live. And what's it like just to share your stories and on different platforms like this?
It's awesome. It's great. And kind of like I said earlier, now I'm in a stage where I like talking about Cowboys days and stuff like that. And, it took a couple of years to be able to really be able to use, but you're right. It's like a platform I can kind of share knowledge and if I can help anybody else like succeed and, there's downtimes in everybody's life. So, but I love it. It's great for me to be able to share things, especially with these high school kids and be able to help them out. And that's my biggest thing. I had great coaches and mentors my whole life to be able to help me get to where I was. And if I can just do that for one kid, then, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's awesome. And I'm thanks again for having me on. Like I'm fortunate to do all this stuff.
Yeah. And the last two things, our team is part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach, but now he's the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. And we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe and the kids stay safe. And I'll send you the foundation so you can go check, you and your wife can check it out.
Perfect. Yeah, no, we'd love to for sure. Yeah.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Yeah. So my wife is a nurse, and so she's been awesome in that front lines and stuff. But just thank you all you guys putting yourself out there and helping everybody get through this. I know it's been a crazy, year and a half now, and hopefully we're seeing the end of it. But just even more so, not just during this pandemic, but everything they do. It's crazy. Some of the stories my wife will come home and tell me, and I'm dealing with high school kids or elementary PE kids. I don't have a bad day. Like, she comes and tells me, she's dealing with younger people who are dying, and especially during the pandemic when they weren't able to see their loved ones. It's so tough. And so just thank you guys. You guys are angels on earth. So we appreciate it.
Tell your wife I said thank you for her service.
I will, for sure. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 824 for the NR Hour Sports Show with former NFL safety, Dallas Cowboys safety, Matt Johnson. Now he's the head coach, officially the head coach for Southridge High School. Go check him out on all social media formats. This has been an honor, a great conversation. We would like to have you back as a returning guest at some point so you can meet the full team. But keep up the great work. We're rooting for you guys. Good luck this season as a head coach, and continued success.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I'll come on anytime you guys want me to, for sure. Awesome. Thanks, man.